you've only been treated for depression, not for being bipolar?
No, I haven't. But I've been very front and center about with depression.
What a great time it is to be a Democrat. If you decide to work with Republicans and you decide to help out Donald Trump, they will turn on you. Just ask Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania.
He met with Trump at Mar-a-Lago, right? That's a huge sin, right? After Trump won the election. And he worked with Republicans on passing the Laken-Riley Act and voted for 10 of Trump's cabinet picks. And now the senator is saying that Trump has keyed in correctly on the most important concern in our country, helping the majority do better when it comes to workers and economic benefits.
Okay, so here's what's going on. Out of nowhere, there are all of these articles that have to do with the mental decline of John Fetterman, and his physical health is coming into question. Now look, I'm not a John Fetterman fan, but I do find it rather interesting. I thought Democrats really cared about mental health.
Yeah, he is pushing back. This report suggested that Fetterman, who checked himself into Walter Reed Hospital last year because he was battling depression, he was in Walter Reed for about 6 weeks. The report, according to his former chief of staff, was that Fetterman is no longer following that strict medical regimen that was outlined by his doctors and is demonstrating erratic and reckless behavior, according to his former chief of staff, Adam Gentleson, who went public in that New York magazine.
Now, we will get to the response of what John Fetterman has to say about all of this, but I just want to point out, this right here really highlights why nobody believes what Democrats have to say. You care about mental health, but now you're hating on a guy who has mental health issues and struggles with the treatment.
Well, my reaction is it's a one source hit piece, and it involved maybe 2 or 3 anonymous disgruntled staffers saying just absolute false things.
Have you been keeping up with that, taking your medication?
My doctors are like, John is great, and I am on all of the plan that it's always been, and it's incredibly invasive. And why are people talking about anyone's personal medical things?
So you've only been treated for depression, not for being bipolar?
No, I haven't. But I've been very front and center about with depression. Absolutely, none of these other things. And it's like someone that was trying to accumulate my medical records and leak those things. That's part of this weird grudge for this hit piece.
Now, this seems to be a common theme within the Democrat Party. Write a hit piece about somebody, and then that person comes out and says it's a complete lie, and everybody looks terrible.
What is your response to these allegations, or are these sources wrong?
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that, number one. You know, one of the things Alyssa,
one of the things I think is that the people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us.
So just like Joe Biden, somebody has to be lying. It's either going to be John Fetterman, or it's going to be that publication, or it's going to be other politicians who are talking about Fetterman. You see how just like the Joe Biden situation, somebody has to be lying, and no matter what, this is a terrible look for Democrats. I don't know why they keep turning on one another.
The Democrats have had it since all of these things, hence the hit piece. Now, Democrats, this is why you lost. You can't cancel everyone who doesn't hate the right and play by your stilted rules of purity. But the bigger mistake here is that they're targeting a Democrat who has it right. Fetterman is trying to work on the issue that is the key to winning the midterms and to the long-term success of our country, addressing the yawning gap between the many who struggle and the outrageously wealthy few.
Now, without a doubt, we are going to see more Democrats turn on other Democrats as we get closer to the election. Everything is going to ride on this statistic right here.
Do they want them to agree with Trump more, or do they want them to oppose Trump more? Okay, Democrats in Congress oppose Trump too often, just 4%. How about the right amount? Just 19%. How about not enough? You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know that this is the largest number on your screen. 77% of Democratic voters say that their party in Congress does not oppose Donald Trump nearly enough. So you might be thinking to yourself, with this shutdown that did not actually happen, where the Democrats gave Trump and the Republicans the votes, I can tell you with pretty much no doubt that their party, at least in the American public, does not like that. They want them to fight Trump more. When you get 77% of your own party agreeing on something, you know that is the direction that they wish their representatives and senators in Congress in Washington actually went.
And remember, Senator John Fetterman, he worked with Donald Trump, he worked with Republicans, he voted on bills that Democrats did not like. That 77% is the reason why now all of a sudden, man, are we starting to see a mental decline with John Fetterman? It sure does look like it. Do you really think this is happening out of nowhere? Democrats do not like when other Democrats are working with Republicans. Now, please stick with me, because the senator who went down to El Salvador, now he's starting to backtrack. We're going to get into that. You'll find it hilarious. But first, a word from our sponsor. Are you still feeling off after the COVID vaccine? You're not alone, and new research backs it up. In a groundbreaking study, Risk Stratification for Future Cardiac Arrest After the Jab, Dr. Peter McCullough highlights an alarming rise in sudden cardiac events among young and previous healthy individuals. His study found that tiny hidden patches of heart inflammation, often missed by doctors, could silently be building up, leading to sudden heart attacks during exercise or sleep. That's why the wellness company created the 3-in-1 Ultimate Spike Detox, crafted with 100% natural ingredients, specifically designed to help your body clear harmful spike proteins, reduce inflammation, and support heart health. Don't wait until symptoms strike. Experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. McCullough, a top freedom-fighting doctor who risked it all. Head to twc.health/T-SPLY and use code T-SPLY to get 10% off, plus free shipping. Again, that's twc.health/T-SPLY and use code T-SPLY to get 10% off. Go back to that pre-COVID feeling.
I was glad to see in your recent testimony that you reaffirmed your obligations to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And I understand you had an exchange with Senator Murphy on the Abrego Garcia case. And so I'm just going to put the question directly to you. Are you or DHS doing anything to comply with the 9-0 Supreme Court order to facilitate his return to the United States? Just yes or no.
This administration is following all federal court orders.
Madam Secretary, this is a simple question.
It's the president's prerogative on conversations that happen with the president of El Salvador.
I ask a simple question. We have a limited amount of time. I just asked you, Madam Secretary.
All right, you are about to witness the most Democrat thing you have ever seen in the world of politics. Remember, Senator Van Hollen went down to El Salvador, taxpayer money paid for it, he tried to free Kilmar Abrego Garcia, and now he is not advocating for him?
Sir, Senator, thank you for the question, but what I would tell you is that we are following court orders, and that your advocacy for a known terrorist is alarming to me.
Madam Secretary.
It's alarming to me because he's a human smuggler.
Madam Secretary, I'm going to have to reclaim
and a terrorist, and he's not a U.S. citizen. He's a citizen of El Salvador, and he's home. If he were to come back
Madam
here,
Secretary,
we would take him immediately
all right,
back to
I'm going to
El
have
Salvador.
to, Madam Secretary, you should know a couple facts then, which is, number one, in 2019, the immigration court said that he should not be returned to El Salvador because it would put his life in danger. The Trump administration at the time did not appeal that decision. After that, he got a work permit and was working legally in the United States of America. This is also why the district court and the appellate court and the Supreme Court have ruled as they have. I suggest that rather than make these statements here, that you and the Trump administration make them in court under oath, because despite what you just said, the federal district court whose judge is hearing this case right now said, and I'm quoting, that the administration has provided no evidence linking Abrego Garcia to MS-13 or any other terrorist activity. I'm not I'm not vouching for the man. I'm vouching for his due process rights.
Sir.
So as you can see, the narrative has completely changed. What the heck is going on? I thought Democrats were vouching for Kilmar Obrego Garcia. I thought they would do whatever it takes to make sure to free him down in El Salvador. Well, now that doesn't seem to matter. Now we care about the court systems. You know, we kind of like Kilmar Obrego Garcia, but I'm not going to vouch for him. Watch how this all gets flipped on the senator.
No, Madam Secretary, with respect.
I would suggest that you defend and stand alongside the victims of illegal crime.
This is political rhetoric.
Citizens who live here and are United States Americans. I would suggest you advocate for them as hard as you could do.
Madam Secretary, I know you're doing a political speech here. I get it. I'm asking questions of law. No, you're just spewing rhetoric.
I truly believe this. I truly believe this as an American.
Let me ask you this. Do you agree with Justice Scalia in the Supreme Court opinion in Reno v. Flores that, I'm quoting, "It is well established that the Fifth Amendment entitles aliens to due process of law in deportation proceedings." End of quote.
Sir, we are utilizing every due process tool that this Congress has afforded us. The Congress decides what due process is appropriate for every situation. Expedited removal is a due process that you have afforded us that we are utilizing. The Alien Enemies Act.
I'm going to reclaim my time, Madam Secretary.
So we are giving due process and using the tools that this Congress has given us.
This is really, I'm asking sort of simple questions of law and simple questions like, are you complying with the 9-0?
Now, to keep you guys up to date, basically here's what's going on because nobody seems to be talking about this. It's absolutely true. The Trump administration has been very compliant with the judge who is overseeing all of this. However, people are not happy with the Trump administration. Basically, the Trump administration invoked a state secrets right. Basically, the Trump administration told the judge, look, we cannot give you all of the paperwork you want from us as far as this evidence of us trying to free Kilmar Obrego Garcia because it's a secret. As simple as that. And the Trump administration has every right to do it, but of course people are not happy about it.
Either President Biden and the Democrats who supported him believe in open borders, or the people that President Biden put in charge of securing the border, you wouldn't trust to run a snowball stand, right?
That is correct.
So nobody is that incompetent. So it has to be, they just believe in open borders, do they not?
Yes, because I know the people who were securing the border and they weren't allowed to do their job.
Do you think they believe that vetting people at the border is racist?
Yes, I do. I think by the way they allowed people in and granted them immediate parole status.
Do you think that President Biden and some of my Democratic colleagues, I don't want to paint with too broad a brush, Madam Secretary, thought of these foreign nationals in our country illegally as potential new voters?
I do, sir.
And I want to be sure I understand, because there's been a lot of confusing testimony here. You've secured the border, have you not?
This administration has, yes, sir.
And some of my colleagues are upset with you.
Yes, sir.
And they say you did it wrong.
Yes, sir.
And do you agree with me that what they're really upset about is that you did it at all?
So I want to point this out. How comical is it that this is a failed campaign? No one in America basically agrees with what's going on with this whole Kilmar Obrego Garcia situation. However, Democrats are turning on Senator John Fetterman. Make it make sense. But again, I want to appeal back to that poll that you saw on CNN. The fact that 70+% of voters, Democrats, want Democrats to not work with Donald Trump, it's all starting to make sense. Regardless of whether or not this was a successful campaign, whether or not taxpayer money is being wasted on Kilmar Obrego Garcia, Democrats don't care. They just want you to oppose Donald Trump.
In other news, the Trump administration just announced a new incentive for illegal aliens living in the United States to self-deport. Eligible illegal aliens who now use the CBP Home app to self-deport will receive a clear, safe way to leave the United States. Their plane tickets home may be paid for, and they will receive a $1,000 stipend once we have confirmation that they have left our country. This new feature will allow illegal aliens to have a planned departure out of the country and to leave as soon as possible in a dignified way. If illegal aliens make the right decision here and submit their intent to depart through the CBP Home app and pass extensive vetting, they will be temporarily deprioritized for ICE detention and enforcement action before their scheduled departure. And leaving voluntarily in this matter may improve their legal immigration options in the future. This initiative will also save massive amounts of money for American taxpayers. Voluntary departures are much more cost-effective than traditional removals. By deploying the CBP Home app in this new way, President Trump is aiming to reduce the need for costly arrests, detentions, and court proceedings. Currently, the average cost of traditional removal is more than $17,000 per illegal alien. Our projections estimate that the use of the CBP Home app will massively reduce that financial burden by approximately 70%, so taxpayer dollars can be redirected and our brave immigration law enforcement officers can focus on removing the most violent illegal aliens hiding in our community.
All right, I figured I'd throw that in there because as I was making this video, that popped up. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for being here. God bless, and we'll see you all later.